We are ready to go racing. 5-second board shown for round 14 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. The red lights will go out now, and a very good start this time is made by Chris Smiley, and he gets almost up alongside Camish, but the best start of all, I reckon, is from Sutton, look, who's already managed to clear Smiley. He's up to third, he's on the inside of Camish for second, diving into Old Hall Corner. It's another rocket ship start from Ash Sutton. Is he going to be second, though, as he gets to Cascades? He's on the outside line, and job done even before the corner. This is Sutton's race to win.
Yeah, absolutely. I said you could bet your house on it. The only hard part for Sutton's getting through the traffic, but the extra grip of the soft tyres off the line allowed him to jump Smiley. Camish, his teammate on the hard tyres, was never going to fight him round Cascades. He's now got one person to deal with. That's Tom Ingram.
And Tom knows that it's better to score points than not score anything by defending and getting involved in a skirmish. But behind, there are other quick people trying to wriggle their way past Smiley and, of course, Camish, as well as Ingram, on those harder tyres. Down towards his lots, 1 or 2 go really, really, really deep, and off the road there. Goes down row bottom across the grass, skips back onto the circuit. Josh Cook round the outside of Jake Hill. BMW ahead as they make the climb up the run underneath the bridge and then on towards Druids, with a charging Dan Lloyd in the mix as well. Smiley then is going to struggle on his hards, and all those cars on soft around him look to gain ground.
Yeah, I think, I mean, Ingram would like to make it as difficult as possible for Sutton, even to the extent of holding him up a little. Look how he's blocking. He would love one of the other cars on soft tyres to get alongside and rough him up, but Sutton's got to run to the inside, but he won't have enough speed.
The car that's the real danger is Adam Morgan. Look in the background. Morgan, soft, third, teammate to Ingram. So if Tom can hang on in there and get Morgan onto the tail of Sutton, that might just make life easier. It might also enable Adam Morgan to jump Sutton and go for a race win at his home circuit. Ingram defending, but he's under huge pressure down at Cascades as Stephen Jelly comes into the pit lane in front of us. Down towards Island Bend, nose to tail. You're on board with Sutton. He's on the quicker soft tyre. It is Ingram on the hard tyre in the race. Leading Sutton goes to the inside, leaves it late, dives up the inside, and he should come out ahead. Sutton leads. Ingram gets run out wide, tries to fight back as best he can, though, coming over hilltop.
Look at the speed of that Hyundai. I know we've been talking about it. Morgan's right up the inside. Morgan also on the soft tyres. Ingram's going to concede both places. There's no point fighting them.
And behind Ingram is Camish, so now Morgan is the man on a mission. And don't forget that he finished in the earlier race behind Sutton, so he'll have 2 more laps of boost than Sutton does. Already the top 2 breaking away, and that is Nick Halstead's car, you're quite right, that has come to grief. And it's seemingly a long way off the racetrack, but we'll see whether this race needs interrupting to get it out of harm's way. Sutton leads Morgan. Bit of a gap back before you've got Ingram. Then it's Camish, and of course Camish on the harder tyre is about to get picked off by Chilton, and then Jake Hill, and then Josh Cook. And Dan Camish, I fear, is going to get shuffled back in the pack.
Well, Dan certainly did enjoy the hard time when he had to race on it. Snetterton fell back through the back. The trick is to try not to lose too much time as the faster cars coming past on their soft tyres. But that was a great overtake by Sutton, just literally using the extra grip of the soft tyre to brake later and dive underneath Ingram last minute into the hairpin.
And Chris Smiley, 11th, the other driver from the top 3 of race 1 on the hard tyre and coming under attack. I think Nick Halstead's got going again. He has, so the road is clear as the leaders come down towards Island Bend. Look, Sutton versus Morgan. Bit of a gap back as there is a challenge made on the inside. James Dorling going ahead of Mikey Doble. Toyota ahead of Vauxhall. Darrell de Leon's BMW is up the inside in the background as well. Look, trying to gain ground. And he's done so as he comes out of the corner.
On board with Darrell de Leon on the inside. Let's see if the other BMW appears on the left. I don't think it will, and no, indeed, de Leon can take the left-hand apex. He's clear.
And this was what happened earlier on in the lap when he tried to find a way past James Dorling at Cascades. Knock, knock.
Well, that was where he had an incident, wasn't it, with Sam Osborne in race 1 and got a penalty for. Yeah. So, although he lost the position there, that was he needs to watch himself. Oh.
And that is how Nick Halstead came to grief, being roughed up coming into his lot, so getting turned around. And that is bad news, because that is Dan Lloyd off the road, and the safety car has been deployed. Dan Lloyd is off the racetrack, so the safety car makes an appearance, and everybody will slow right down. So Ash Sutton leading Adam Morgan. Fastest lap of the race, by the way, to the man third, Tom Chilton.
Yeah, on soft tyres, obviously, but in the Hyundai. I'm not sure where that's gone off, actually. I can't recognise that bit of the track. Dan, we can see on board he's OK.
That's heading up to Druids, I think, isn't it? I think it's after Clay Hill and near the water tower up towards Druids.
It is, you're absolutely right. Yeah, you can see Druids there. That's from the camera opposite Druids. That's a very fast part of the car. Side-by-side racing and touching another car is the only way you spear off there.
Let's have a look at a replay and try and piece it together. Good news is Dan's okay.
Yeah, there was something. That was a big hit. Good job. The tyres and the foam did a really good job there of protecting that impact area, didn't they? It did a really good job. On board, oh, it's horrible to see.
Oh, that'll have rattled Dan out.
Well, Oulton Park hasn't been good to poor old Dan Lloyd, where he had that huge crash previously coming over out to the hairpin. But I couldn't see if there was another car close by then. But we'll see if we get another angle for the replay.
Yeah, it looked like there was some tyre smoke, but I wasn't sure if that was him braking to avoid a smoke car.
That was just as he was going sideways.
Was it?
Yeah, that was as he was going sideways and smoke was pouring off side. But we'll see if there's another replay. I believe that our cameras do have another shot, so we'll have to see. But
and this is going to take a while to sort out all the barriers, isn't it? You can see the damage done there to the recticel at least.
But what an excellent job those barriers did. You saw the speed he was going off. He's doing approximately 130 miles an hour as they crest that rise. Okay, granted he got on the brakes, but that impact was still well over 100 miles an hour into the tyres. No wonder he looked a little rattled in the car.
Absolutely. Well, he can go to the medical centre, as drivers do in any accident, large or small these days. We'd seen him out of the car and walking around. So right now, Ash Sutton leads the way, but I think this could be a good couple of laps of safety car. Right, let's have another look. Oh, something's broken, hasn't it?
Well,
to be on that angle.
I'm still not convinced, because when he came into shot, well, that's as a result of hitting the tyres, I think, the damage on the... I'm not convinced. It could have been a failure, but it did look as though there... This is a further back. Let's watch out the back. Let's look at the camera to the bottom right, because that's going to tell us they're coming up to Hislop chicane, and then the right-hander that's Knickerbrook. I want to see what happens behind, see if there was any kind of contact. Oh, did he clip the tyres there? Did he clip the tyres? Because if you clip the tyres, you can then break the tow tracking rod on the back. Yes. Yeah. I think he clipped the tyres at the chicane, and that's what broke the link at the back, right. And then it actually sort of finally went when he came over the hill. Not for the first time, poor Dan Lloyd with his head in his hands. It was on the Weybridge, wasn't it? Where he lost his qualifying time, but now more serious damage.
And that's a lot to repair for race 3, because it's, you know, compact timetable Sundays at Oulton Park, starting at 12 o'clock, doesn't give the Restart Racing team much leeway. Right, marshals, track staff, hard at work getting that recticel back in place to protect the barriers, and as soon as possible we'll be underway. It's partly removing the car, of course. Dan Lloyd, as I say, will have a trip to the medical centre.
Well, one thing we do know, at least there was no other car involved, so that was... I mean, it could have just been a failure on itself, but I think it was probably as a result of clipping the tyres that either put the weakness in, and then it finally broke and steered him sharp right.
He doesn't have a lot of luck, does he, Dan Lloyd? And Oulton Park is hardly a kind circuit. If you think back a few seasons, it was coming down from Hilltop towards Hislops, where there was that huge accident that he was involved in. Him and others. Colin Turkington was involved in it as well. So there is the broken Hyundai, and after such a mega drive in the first race, it all kind of unravels for him, sadly, in this. So we're on lap at 6, just started. Race will be extended to a maximum of 3 laps because of this safety car period. Field turning through Old Hall Corner. So it is Ash Sutton from Adam Morgan, Tom Chilton 3rd, and then 4th is Tom Ingram on the hard tyre, Dan Camish 5th, and 6th is Jake Hill. For those that are on the hard tyre then, what does this interruption do in terms of tyres? Because it's going to elongate the race, but equally for the moment it's going to take some of the pressure out of the tyres. They've got Ash Sutton. So the race leader comes over Hilltop. then once we've had another look maybe at a replay of that drama, we'll get Tim to talk about what this will do to tyre life. But the field coming out of his lots right now. There's Barry being repaired.
Yeah, the Orange Army and their helpers doing a great job of sorting the that's Jelly. He's had mechanical problems all weekend, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Throughout practice and in the races, he had a lot of mechanical issues this weekend. Misfires, exhaust knocking on the bulkhead, and all fuel injector problems, all sorts he's had.
Right, temperature dropping as the wind picks up. Dan Lloyd's car leaves the scene. You're on hard tyres. Is this safety car good or bad?
It's actually good. You can still keep temperature and generate temperature, although it did look as though Ingram and Camish were faring pretty well at the start of that race. They've dropped down to 4th and 5th. The real loser was Smiley, who's dropped down to 13th already. Remember, he was 3rd on the grid. So it's just how quickly you can adapt to these tyres. It is very difficult. But
let's have a quick word with Matt Neal, because he is involved, of course, in restart racing, and Matt is with Louise.
Yeah, as you say, David, Matt is working with Restart Racing this season. Matt, what was your view on that, the incident?
Well, we're getting the same view as you, really. From what we could see, it was such a shame because Danny had a mega first race. He was on the charge in the second one. And he was following Josh up the hill, and the gap decreased. He tried to avoid Josh. There's quite a high curb on the inside, on the apex, the top of the clay hill. I think he just took too much of it and it bounced the car up. But thank goodness MSV have got recticells up the top of there. We should have more of those around the country, and probably saved us a car today.
They absolutely did their job, didn't they? And for Dan as well. I mean, he just doesn't have much luck at this circuit, does he?
He hasn't having much luck anywhere this season. But yeah, from his qualifying yesterday, when he should have been top 6, he shouldn't be starting back there. But you know, it's such a shame. We'll just get the car back, see what we can do, and then he's got all the work to do in the last one again.
Well, hopefully, the good news is, as you say, that hopefully he'll be out again in race 3, that he's okay. So back to you guys.
Louise, thanks. Different take on it then?
yeah, I mean, Matt thinks that's the curve he's looking at.
Yeah.
He thinks he went over that, but that wouldn't normally spear the car off. It would normally ride that car, especially being front-wheel drive, it's pulling itself over it. But obviously Matt's only seen a very quick view of it. I think if he sees it again a couple of times, he might see it a bit differently. I think the rear toe link definitely broke, but whether that was as a result of a previous contact or whether it was the touching the tyres at the chicane, you don't know. But I think that's what caused the off. The team doing a great job of repairing those barriers.
Yeah, maybe one more lap, possibly two, but we are not too far away from getting things back underway. So Dan Lloyd, having been the star of race 1 and his mighty charge past half the field, now ends up with a wrecked car, and we'll see whether he actually makes it out for race 3. As Matt Neal was just saying, they won't know until they get the car back, and you know, time is ticking. It's 3 o'clock now, and the last race is not far after 5 o'clock, is it?
The only good thing is if the race distance is reduced as we get over the allowed safety car laps, that helps Ingram and Camish, because they won't fall as far back under the number of racing laps that they would have done with soft tyre cars behind them.
Yeah, we're going to be at a maximum of 18, aren't we? But all of the extra safety car laps eat into that extension, you're quite right. So down through Denton's into Cascades they come. Nick Halstead, after that spin, by the way, 23rd, although that's really thanks to Stephen Jelly having to make 2 pit stops. In fact, make that another one. He's into the pits for a 3rd time. So Stephen Jelly's race is just an absolute horror story for him at the minute. Right. Let's have another look at Dan Lloyd's demise.
I mean, the only, you could look at lots of positives about it. Here's another one, just trying to see if he, can't see if he clips the tyres there, but he's looking on the left-hand side of Josh Cook. Unfortunately, the camera just breaks up at the crucial moment. But at least the car goes in sideways, which spreads the load as much as possible. Oh, bless him. That's not nice to see.
That's a massive impact to go through Dan Lloyd. He's a fit young guy, but even so, that's quite an impact, not just for the car, but for the body. The adrenaline gets him out, and then he's going to feel decidedly sore after all of that. So the barrier repair's almost done. The clerk of the course, Ian Watson, is looking at these pictures. He's looking at the CCTV pictures around the circuit. He'll be getting a report, no doubt, from the safety car team each time they pass as well. And so we can't be too far away from getting things back underway, but we are now on lap number 9. So this goes back to Tim's point that all of these laps now are starting to eat into the number of available racing laps for the drivers.
Which is good for Ingram and Camish, because they won't fall back as far as they would have done if we'd had a full green racing laps.
So through Old Hall Corner they turn, and they're going just into Old Hall, the Toyota of Finn Leslie, having a one-off outing this weekend. He's running in 21st place after a drive shaft drama at the start of the opening race. The safety car down through Island Bend. It's when the lights go out on top of the safety car that we know we're going to be ready for the resumption of the race. But it's not just getting the barrier sorted, then all those marshals and circuit vehicles need to get off the circuit as well. So there is a vehicle access point in the opposite direction from where the incident was, so they're not far away from one if the circuit vehicle can head the wrong way, but they'll need to do that once all the cars have gone past. So lights are still on the safety car for
I'm
now.
hearing race restart this lap, so we'll see if the lights go out as the safety car goes up Clay Hill. Not so far, they should be going off any time now. Yeah,
Track's clear.
Track's clear, so lights should go out straight as soon as possible.
So here they come then, out of Druids. The next shot will show us the safety car lights are out. We're going to go racing this time. Here they come then. So as quick as possible, we're going to go back racing. It's up to Ash Sutton then to control the pace, but he can't accelerate until he gets to the go board, which is coming out of Deer Leap. They all bunch up behind him, and this offers a lifeline, doesn't it, to Adam Morgan and to Tom Chilton. Chilton's got 5 laps of boost in total. Morgan's got 6 to the 4 of Sutton. Here they come, nose to tail, green flag ready. We go racing once more at Oulton Park. Over the line goes Ash Sutton to start lap 10 out of 18, down towards Old Hall Corner. Ford, Hyundai, Ford, BMW, Hyundai. Through they turn, Jake Hill round the outside there. Look of Dan Camish, and the BMW on the softer rubber should get through, does get through.
And takes Proctor with him. Proctor sliding through on the inside, pushes Camish out wide. That's also going to bring Josh Cook through. And now we're on board with Aaron Taylor-Smith. So Camish has lost a lot of places on this restart. Hasn't been kind to him.
Indeed so. Out of the hairpin then they come up towards Hilltop. Sutton it is, trying to break away once more. They're going through, you can see Aaron Taylor-Smith squabbling with Dan Camish. 18-lap race, this is lap 10. Here they come, down towards Hislop. So Sutton has the advantage at the moment as he goes right and goes left, then right again into Knickerbrook. Almost running out of real estate there was Taylor-Smith, but he just manages to sort himself out. He's got Dan Rowbottom behind him, who's cleared Charles Rainford on this lap. And back on board, Taylor-Smith's view as they head up towards the exit of Knickerbrook, towards the bottom of Clay Hill. And they're riding that curve you were talking about is Sutton, but he's getting away, isn't he, on this lap from Morgan?
He is. He's done a good restart. Remember, he managed to hold off those Hyundais in race 1, so he knows he's got enough pace to do it. Ingram will be delighted to be stuck in there still in 4th place.
Especially with Camish on comparable tyres, having been shuffled a long, long way back in the pack, just like at Snetterton. Dan does not seem to like the hard tyre, whereas others can adapt to it maybe a little bit better. Sutton goes by, the margin 0.4 of a second at the start of the lap. Big send up the inside there, look, and contact, and way off the road into the barrier goes the BMW. A big hit, more damage, I'm afraid. And that is Charles Rainford BMW that is out of the race.
That will be another safety car for sure, because that car's in a dangerous place and there's barrier repairs.
Yep.
This is further good news for Ingram.
Sometimes luck goes with you. I'm sure that was Gordon Shedden trying to make his move on the inside because they were together as they crossed the line. Well, Charles Rainford's BMW amazingly still goes, but the barrier damage may be a concern to race control, and the scrutineers won't like all that. But look at that, the Recticel dragged onto the runoff area. Let's see what happens next.
Well, my admiration for Charles Rainford grows with every race as he channels his inner Gilles Villeneuve. I've had an accident, but I'm driving it anyway back to the pits. But yes, he won't be able to carry on with that flapping bumper, but I'm sure the clerk of the course will also be concerned about the lack of safety barrier in that position.
Yeah, it's got 4 wheels, it still runs, says Charles Rainford. Down towards Lodge Corner comes Ash Sutton once again. Now look, Ingram has dropped back and he's under attack from Jake Hill. So Ingram will go round Old Hall and see the barriers, thinking, right, good, come on, need another safety car, that will preserve my place. But Jake Hill won't be able to make a move at Old Hall because that's going to be a yellow flag, no overtaking zone. So the frustration for Hill is there, and a yellow flag you can see in the background. There on the outside is the recticel. There is just about room to sort of go onto the grass and survive without clipping that. And for the moment, it doesn't look like we're going to have an interruption.
No, I think they've decided they'll cover that off with just a yellow flag, which is, a little touch there from Jake Hill on the back of Ingram, and that's purely and simply the difference in grip levels mid-corner. And Ingram was going as fast as he could, but Hill underestimated just what that limit was because he had so much more grip himself.
And Hill is taking Proctor with him, look, as they come over the brow, down again towards Hislop's. It's still Sutton, Morgan, Chilton absolutely together for the race lead. There's a big dive in the background coming from Dan Rowbottom up the inside, and he gains a place then at the expense of Aaron Taylor-Smith coming into Hislop's. So the race order is shuffling all the while. You're looking at the back of Josh Cook's Honda there, heading up Clay Hill. He's in 7th place. So Jake Hill on the charge, reigning champion.
And that turn 1 is actually one of the favourite overtaking places for the BMW by getting really good traction off this next corner lodge. Usually the BMW is able to dive up the inside into turn 1, but of course that's now impossible with the yellow flag. So Ingram could take his time through here, knowing he can't be overtaken into turn 1.
Doing a grand job of hanging onto that place on that slower tyre as Dan Camish was shuffled back into 8th place a lap or so ago. The leaders go through then. We've got 6 laps to go. Still Sutton leading the way. Still Chilton has that fastest lap of the race to his credit. Big gap between the top 3 and the rest. Replay here. This is for the BMW of Daryl De Leon, and you'll see it all kicking off maybe up the road. Let's see what he does. He goes to the outside of James Dorlin.
Well, that was a really nice pass. He used his momentum coming off Old Hall and went for the gap on the inside before they got to Cascades. That was a good move by De Leon.
Was indeed, so that now moves him up the order. Oh, that was rather less impressive, into the back of Mikey
Dover. Has that done the radiator?
Smoke out of the front. As there, Hill has another look on the inside of Ingram. So Daryl De Leon, for the moment, battles on, but maybe that car is not long for the race. You can see the queue now is building behind Ingram.
Yeah, Ingram's driving a canny race. He's just blocking where he needs to. Because Hill's got Proctor right behind him, he's trying to attack and defend, and every time Ingram just slows him up a bit, it puts Hill under pressure from Proctor and compromising. This is a very clever race by Ingram.
It puts Jake Hill under pressure from another of Tom Ingram's teammates, of course. Different colour scheme, but all out of the same stable at Accelerate. So yeah, Jake Hill trying to get past one Hyundai. He's being attacked by another. Ash Sutton, though, is still leading the way. He's just got across the line.
The only thing is, if Hill can finally get past or open the inside door up to get inside Ingram, it could let 3 or 4 cars through at the same time. Same thing that happened to Camish. This is back on board with De Leon behind Sam Osborne. These two have already had contact this weekend, right here, at this point here.
And Osborne, look, he's trying to attack Chris Smiley, who's on that harder tyre. So there's another queue building up then. Smiley ahead of Osborne, ahead of De Leon. And that graphically shows you the difference that the tyre makes, doesn't it? Smiley having been so quick in race 1 and now struggling on that harder, slower rubber. Daryl De Leon is still fighting on, isn't he, despite the damage at the front of that car from earlier, as Jake Hill dances through the chicane again at Hislop's.
Well, I was worried it was radiator coolant that was spraying out in front of that car. Looks like it's just pushed the bodywork onto the tyre and it's a bit of tyre rub, so De Leon could carry on. As once again Hill spends a lap or 2 building up again to get back on the back of Ingram, only for something to happen to that's a problem.
Proctor.
That's a problem for Proctor's left front.
Yeah. So lots of smoke. Gets away with it, or does he? Coming down towards Lodge. Let's see, is there smoke this time around? Yes, there it is again.
That's an odd one. That is an odd one because it wasn't rubbing all the time. It wasn't rubbing to start with.
No.
And Rowbottom is flashing the lights at him, trying to tell him he's got a problem.
And Proctor, what if it's smoke, steam, something coming out of the front of the car. Senna Proctor is hanging on to it, and it's not consistent, as you say. Scrutineers will want to look at that, won't they?
Yeah, and it's a strange one. He's weaving about just as if he knows there's a problem, he's trying to feel what it is, but He's not hemorrhaging a lot of lap time, is he?
No, right. So Rowbottom wants to get past, and he's also trying to alert Proctor to the fact that there's smoke coming off the car. That is Tom Ingram. Look, Rowbottom goes really on the attack, and Proctor is able to defend, so the car still has the pace, and he's had that smoky issue for the best part of a lap now.
Yeah, what it does mean, of course, though, is it gets him off the tail of Hill, which means that Hill can attack Ingram without having Proctor on the back of him.
Rowbottom on the attack then. This is for 6th and 7th. Aaron Taylor-Smith's view here, coming out of Cascades. Camish ahead.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what's going to happen here because there's quite a big gap between them. Well, what's going to happen is his teammate, Gordon Shedden, is going to come all the way around the outside. Obviously got a much better exit from Cascades. This is on board with De Leon into the hairpin. Who's up the right-hand side is Smiley, who's been defending like crazy on those hard tyres.
So that's going to put Gordon Shedden now up into 10th, having started race 1, 25th. So he's chipped away over the course of the day. Rowbottom has cleared Proctor, so has Cook. The car, and off the road now goes Aaron Taylor-Smith. That's another car in strife. And that is, I'm afraid to say, that
looks like the same place actually that Lloyd went off.
Oh, I was thinking.
No, it's not. It's after the island hairpin. I think it's pulled off on the right there by that marshal's post.
Right.
That's why we've got yellow flags there.
So we have got 2.5 laps to go, and there's another car that's gone. Nick Halstead, I think, has gone straight on up the escape road. A lot happening all of a sudden here.
Yeah, all of a sudden you like this race to go on, really. Yeah. Feel cheated with those lost laps.
Right, so we're starting to lose cars. Dan Lloyd's out, Aaron Taylor-Smith is out, looks like Nick Halstead is out. We've got Proctor possibly on borrowed time with a smoky left front for reasons that we need to get to the bottom of. And there is another yellow flag being waved on the run up the hill. This is Aaron Taylor-Smith's view, so maybe he is off in a similar place to where Dan Lloyd had his dramas, because as he heads up Clay Hill, there's that interference on the camera. He goes up towards Water Tower and
yeah, it was the same place. Yeah, it was the same. I was right first time. But he sounded like he had an engine problem, didn't he, all the way up the hill?
Yeah, smoke out of the back. I was going to say he pulls off rather than spins off. So the yellows at Island Bend were for Nick Halstead, who I think's gone straight on up the escape road.
It's all kicking off.
Right, and that rather sums up the mood, doesn't it? Aaron just hides as best he can. And a very hot and bothered Toyota there.
Yeah, that looked like there was a... don't want to say there was an engine blow-up, but it looked like it could well have been.
So tough day for the local team, Toyota Gazoo Racing UK, based not that far away, near Northwich. Right, down towards Island Bend, again comes Jake Hill. He's right on the back of Tom Ingram, who has had a Herculean task to hang on to that place. Yeah, okay, that safety car period helped him, but even so, look at the way that Ingram has gone compared to Dan Camish or Chris Smiley, who've fallen a bit further back.
And quite clearly, the pace, I mean, for Ingram to be able to hold off Jake Hill, the champion, on soft tyres when he's on hards, that shows just how good that car-driver combination is. That's going to have the other really worried, because they should be able to walk past him.
And we understand that rain is falling at Knickerbrook now, so just in case there wasn't enough going on, there are spots of rain falling on the far side of the circuit as Ash Sutton then leads Adam Morgan, and Tom Chilton's dropped a long way back all of a sudden as they are about to come through to start the last lap. Ingram still fighting. To the outside line goes Jake Hill and can't get the undercut, can he? The leader goes on to his last lap, and Jake Hill comes off Dear Leap about 3 lengths back.
Well, he was trying to set up a cutback, wasn't he? But you saw at the end of the braking for Hill, his car was sliding about, almost like there was rain falling there, but it may have just been that he got out on the marbles and didn't quite have the grip he wanted to cut back to the inside. And again, that's just giving Ingram a little bit of a gap. Final lap, Sutton leads Morgan, leads Chilton, leads Ingram.
And remember, Sutton is looking for win number 4 of the season in the Napa Racing UK Ford. There is championship rival Tom Ingram banking points, but now you can understand why Sutton tactically dropped back in race 1. He got points for 4th, not 3rd, but he's been able to then power forward for a win on the quicker tyre.
Yeah, but unfortunately for him, not for Ingram, but unfortunately for him, Ingram hasn't fallen back as far as he would have expected. We were all thinking Ingram were doing well to stay in the top 10. In fact, that was Ingram's own prediction. He's done much better than that. He's in 4th, and of course we've got to remember the final positions for the reverse grid from 6th to 10th, or 12th, sorry. Rowbottom, Cook, Proctor, Camish, Shedden and Doble.
So down towards Lodge Corner comes Ash Sutton. He is on target then for a 4th victory of the season. He makes the run now up towards the timing line. It's a win for Ash Sutton at Oulton Park. The Ford crosses the line to win with Adam Morgan taking 2nd, and Tom Chilton comes home in 3rd.